All right, let's get into this. Well, not quite yet. We got some basics to cover first. Hey, we'll talk about that in a second. I don't know what to call this. Talk about that in a second. But it is 11/5/24, November 5th, 2024. That is election day. Goal of this podcast is to understand exercise better, right? Previous podcast was about exercise. We're going to continue that to shine light on it. Shine light on how much is needed for results. So we're going to talk about exercise again. Signal is going to be in there, and we're also going to talk about how much you need. And and we are going to explicate the mysteries of the body. I said elucidate a couple times in the other previous episodes, and I came across somebody and they're like, you know what, you should do a word, some fancy word every time. And I don't know if I'm going to do it every time, but I asked Siri what a synonym for elucidate was, and explicate popped up. And explicate means to analyze and develop a principle in detail, especially to make it clearer or more understandable. And it's from the Latin word, which I'm not going to say right. I meant to review this, explicare, but that is not how you say it at all, which means to unfold or unravel. You're going to unravel the mysteries of the body. Outline of topics. We're going to go over updates, recap what is exercise. If you don't use it, you lose it. Time dilation. I had a lame title, and it'll be one of the themes for today is I have lame titles. But then I came up with time dilation. That was not AI. Consistency is key, and final thoughts. So we've got 6 topics, updates, recap what is exercise. If you don't use it, you lose it. Time dilation, consistency is key, and some final thoughts. Outline of topics. Updates. Lions took care of Green Bay. This is getting uncomfortable, you know. Actually, it's getting comfortable. It's getting to be the expected that the Lions are going to win. And I know I'm not going to ramble on about this, but man, it is something to see, especially when you're 49 years old and you've been watching the Detroit Lions for a long time. Drink of water. It's election day, as I previously mentioned, saying nothing about that. Studio fixed my camera settings. I hope so. How's that look? How are we sitting here? Oh, whatever. I think it looks better. I didn't realize, I had messed around with it. And I thought that had the settings right, and I played with it yesterday and I screwed it up. So I was trying to fine tune them, and I ended up screwing it up. So I had to get online and open up a video. And 4 of the major settings were off: my shutter speed, my recording, my frame rate, and the lighting, the ISO. All of them were off. And I just kept wondering why does my video look so bad? I mean, I made the investment on a good product there, but so hopefully these are going to look a lot better. I adjusted the lighting too. My lighting was way too bright. So hopefully things will be better. I'm a little too centered, but whatever. We're going to roll with it. No updates. Continuing with the updates here. No longer titling the podcast. That's why I didn't have a title for this podcast, because the title I had was "What is Exercise?" And then, as I mentioned previously, I have been running the audio from the podcast through AI, through this website, and it gives you a description and a title. And my title was, of the previous podcast, "What is exercise?" Because I'm pretty basic and I like things simple. But that really doesn't get people's attention, come to find out. And what the AI came up with is the ageless power of movement, unlocking longevity through exercise. And I'm like, yeah, I suck. That's what I'm like. I suck. So anyways, I'm not going to say the title at the beginning of the podcast anymore. I'm going to wait till I'm done and then get the AI to do some magic and be thankful for it. I also, a little update, I built a button cheat sheet. You can see that. Yeah, there it is. A button cheat sheet. And hopefully that's going to increase my accuracy of button usage, and I won't have to keep hitting 3 to 4 to find the one I'm looking for. Subscriber update. Email, no movement. That's 2 weeks in a row at 61. YouTube went from 36 to 40. Spotify, 15 to 17. And Apple, no movement, sits at 13. I'm imagining one day that this YouTube is actually going to blow past the email subscriptions. That would be my suspicion, since YouTube works for me. Works for you if you choose it to. Reminder, please submit your questions to dennis@dennisfenrich.com. Or you can reply to the email if you're currently subscribing. Questions are welcomed. I have not had very many, and they do help me know where you guys are. I get it. Like, you're listening to this, maybe you're driving, maybe you're not at your computer, and typing in Dennis@dennisfenrich.com is a big inconvenience. But I don't know. Do it anyways. How's that go? Okay, let's get into this. Let's get into this. Okay, first, like I said, we're going to recap what is exercise. Some definitions. I broke this down really quick. I didn't give it too much focus last time, but I think it's really important to think about exercise from its real standpoint, which is movement, and to think about what you're doing, because as you age, moving is critical even as you're not aging. Like, you need to move every day, and we're going to talk about that. But let me cover these definitions really quick. Movement is the minimum we need to do to run our day, right? So you got a day, you're going to wake up, you got these things you got to do. And pretty much most people, when they're not doing the things they got to do, what are they going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to sit down most of the time. Okay. So that's what movement is. It's just the stuff that you have to do to run your day. Exercise is intentional movement above what we need to do that day to create positive adaptation, right? So we're not just going to move that day. Hopefully we're going to get some exercise in, and maybe that exercise is, hey, I'm going to go do a boot camp. Hey, I'm going to go for a run. Hey, I'm just going to get up and intentionally move above and beyond what I need to hopefully create more fitness. Training takes it a step further. You got movement, and then you've got exercise, and then you've got the last one, which is training. Training is organizing exercise in a way to create a specific positive adaptation. Get stronger, run farther, move faster, etc. Right? Training is organizing exercise in a way to create a specific positive adaptation. Right? So you're going to take your exercise, and instead of just exercising generally for general health benefits, you're going to get specific with those exercises to elicit a specific outcome. Improve strength, improve cardiorespiratory performance, increase speed, agility, whatever that might be. I think training is your best option, but everybody's pretty much got access to it at this point. But if you don't, I don't know how you wouldn't, but if you don't, you can just exercise. You can just go for a run. You can do a boot camp. You can just do a bunch of burpees. You can do something general. And if you don't have that, well, at least move every day. Second point on recapping exercise. All exercise is movement, and all movement is signal. Right? That's what we really talked about a ton in the last episode, was that the organism, your body, is always receiving signal. And those signals are telling it to do something, to adapt up or to adapt down. Signal tells your body to adapt. Lack of signal also tells your body to adapt, right? So if your minimum is, if you sit all day, that is telling your body to do something. Therefore, we are either adapting up or we are adapting down, always based on the signal that we create, right? We wake up, we have a day, that day is there because of what we did the day before. It's all created. We've created every minute of it. And if we want to live a healthier, longer, fitter life, we're going to have to put some intention, some creation into our day to elicit that and make that happen. So that's the recap of exercise. How fast does this happen? How fast is this up and down process happening? The spinning up or the spinning down of your fitness and health? So I think this is good from the perspective of, let me take a little drink here. Thank you. Appreciate that. See, people want me to stay hydrated. That's for sure. Sorry. Not sorry. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? We've heard that frame. We've heard that phrase thousands of times at this point. So let's add some perspective to that. How fast do you lose it? Because that's what we're kind of trying to avoid. What if you were to cast your limb? What if you took your limb? What if you put a cast on your leg or your arm? How long before, I mean, that's completely immobile, that is doing nothing. How long before you start to lose capacity in that limb? Strength and protein synthesis decreases in 1 week. So within 7 days of that thing being completely locked up, it's actually probably sooner than that, but measurably within 7 days, it's already starting to atrophy. It's already starting to regress. It's already starting to go backwards because lack of signal, lack of movement. Actual protein loss, measurable protein loss in that limb, 2 weeks. Imagine you were bedridden. So imagine 2 weeks in bed. How long before you were up and you were back to full strength again? 6 to 8 weeks. That's to get back to baseline. So if you just laid in your bed for 2 weeks and did nothing, you got 6 to 8 weeks before you get back to your baseline. Depending on age, and this is a scary. Do I have a scary button? I don't. Scratch. Depending on age, maybe never. So what do I mean by that? If you're pretty weak and you have a fall and you get hurt and you're maybe 70 years old, that 2 weeks could be the end, man. It's got to keep it real. You know what I mean? If you don't use it, you lose it. So we are either adapting up or adapting down constantly. Lack of signal equals rapid adaptation to efficiency. Why is this happening? Well, your body is super concerned with how much energy is coming in. It knows that in a way that we can't put into words. It is the thing that has been keeping it here since the inception of life 3.5 billion years ago. So it knows energy. It knows how much is available, and it is constantly responding to that. And so if you don't need to expend energy through that limb, well, as far as it's concerned, and it's not concerned, it's just doing what it does. It just starts to use those resources right up. And by using those resources, efficiency goes up. Lack of signal, rapid adaptation towards efficiency. Body is meeting the level of energy and tissue needed. So it's literally increasing its efficiency by limiting the amount of energy that limb would be using. So if you're sitting, you're decreasing your energy production to increase efficiency. You're decreasing tissue and lean mass to increase efficiency, and it's happening now, like right now. Unless you went and exercised and you moved a lot and you got a strong signal to counteract that. What you do equals your level of adaptation, your fitness. End of story. Your body is water meets its own level. Your fitness, your capacity is always going to meet its own level. If you're going out and you are sending a strong signal for strength or a strong signal for conditioning or a strong signal to be able to move and stay functional, well, that is what it's going to meet up to. Okay. This applies to everything. So not just movement, but you think about it, the foods that you eat, right? If you decrease your protein intake, the enzymes to break down those proteins decrease as well. Any enzyme you create to break down a food, if that food isn't coming in the same quantities, those enzymes get down-regulated to meet the level. That's why if you've been low protein for a long, long time, you don't want to just go, straight up to where you should be because you just won't process it properly and you just don't have the enzymes to do it. So what you need to do is just maybe increase that. It depends on how long it's been, but you'd want to increase that over 4 to 6 weeks, maybe 1 week at this, next week at that, next week at that. Had a client one time, wasn't a client, wasn't a one-on-one, but general member in class. And through general conversation, the person was like, hey, I hear I'm supposed to be eating much more protein. How much should I be eating? And I told him pound per body weight. The guy was normal weight. He's like a 190-pound dude, pretty fit guy, but hadn't been eating, I think he had said he was at like 60 or 80 after he had tracked it, which is considerably low. And, I didn't think anything of it. And like 2 days later, he came in and told me all the problems he had because he literally the next day started eating like, 190 grams of protein. which isn't, he didn't hurt himself. It's just that he didn't process it so well. So his digestion wasn't amazing. Let's just say that. Do I have a button for that? I don't know if that's the appropriate button. Anyways, applies to everything. Reading gets better or worse, right? What happens if you don't read? Well, you have a hard time reading. So there's an adaptation, right? Why is your brain going to put resources towards this capacity to read if you ain't using it? Well, it ain't. Memory. I remember when I started tracking in my fitness pal, and I didn't want to do it throughout the day. I just thought, well, it'll be easy. I'll just remember at the end of the day. And it took me 3 or 4 or 5 days to start to recall what I had been eating. Obviously I could remember, but man, it was a lot of work. But after 3 or 4 days of like remembering, like my memory got better. And then and since I was doing that with my food, it actually started getting better in other areas. And I hadn't been using that. And if you don't use it, you lose it. This applies to everything. You're an organism. Your body is always, always, always reading the environment and making adjustments constantly. So what you want it to do, you need to do. Okay. If you don't use it, you lose it. Continue. All this points to the constant, of course, it's already on here. All this points to the constant reading and adapting your body is doing to the environment. And we need to guide that. The environment has changed. All right. And this is a good point, right? Why do we see all the, if you go 100 years ago, the problem wasn't heart attacks and diabetes and cancer and these diseases of excess or these diseases of lack of stimulation. The challenges they had then were like diarrhea, smallpox, and viruses, things like that. But we've pretty much got that stuff taken care of. Vaccines have saved a ton of lives. I don't want to go down that's highly politicized right now. They're good. There's good and bad in that. Anything good that has a big impact can continue to progress, but it can also continue to be utilized for ulterior motives, right? So anyways, I don't want to talk about that. But vaccines pretty much cleared out a lot of the problems that we had to deal with. And now our problem is the fact that most people for their daily work are going to be sitting at a desk and not moving very much. And moving is super critical to your health. The nutrition environment has changed, right? Highly processed foods started cropping up in the 70s, and now we're in that environment and we have to learn how to navigate that. So without intentionality, without intentionally trying to affect the environment that we're in, well, we're just going to end up sitting around and eating crappy food, right? You're going to have some intent with what you do in that day. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. You lose it, you use it, lose it, continue. This is why exercise movement signal is so important. You need a consistent signal to adapt in a positive direction, to spin up, right? We have to intentionally create a signal to put our body in the direction that we want it to go, to create what we want. Okay, Dennis, consistent signal is the key. So how much? We'll talk about how much. But before we cover that, let's first adjust our perspective on time. Because when I start talking about time with people and what it's going to take, they always, not always, but it can be very discouraging. And that is the fault of, well, people are off in their time expectations, but also the fitness industry did nobody any service by creating the 3-week or the 3-month transformation challenge. One day I'll cover the story on that because I actually did the very first one back in 1997, and it was called the EAS Physique Transformation Challenge. And I got a story behind that and all the nonsense I got to watch that came after it. But anyways, we are not going to get into that today. I'm going to talk about exercise and how much in a second. But before I address that, I want to add some thinking to your mind here and hopefully change your perspective on time and what's appropriate. And so I called this time dilation, and that's a little play on relativity and space and all that stuff. And you guys know, if you've been following, that I nerd out on physics. It's actually my first love, if I was being honest. Fitness was my second. But time dilation, I'm going to play off of that a little bit. We are used we are used to short time frames feeling long. We are used to short time frames feeling long. What do I mean by that? What if I told you your Amazon package was going to take a week to show up? Ah, be upsetting. What if I said, what if you got injured or tweaked something from your training and you needed, and I said, man, you need to slow down for 4 to 6 weeks. Some people are losing it right now. What if you start a new job and they told you, hey, listen, you're going to suck at this job for 6 to 12 months before you start to get some proficiency? Whoa, 6 to 12 months. Amazon shows up the same day. You told me 6 to 12 months. You told me a week on Amazon. It took me 6 months to figure something out. That's crazy. Bachelor's degree in 4 years. Now, people kind of expect that, but man, when you think about getting that bachelor's, that is a huge decision because you're so concerned about that 4 years. Sounds like a lot of time. Sounds like time dilation. Sounds like our perception of something is making it seem and feel longer than it really is. Let me adjust this mic a little bit. That's time expansion, making it seem long. So time dilation can dilate up or can dilate down. That's time expansion. You're expanding. Well, physically in space, it would actually be an expansion of time. But in your mind, you're creating this thing around time. Okay. And I think it's entirely inaccurate. I really do. We need to adjust our view on time. We need to reverse the time dilation. We need to reverse the time dilation. I think I'm off this mic. Here's a more accurate / better way to think about it. And we're going to take this from your lifetime perspective, right? We're going to view your lifespan, okay? Because that is a much more accurate way to think about your investment of time into something and whether it's long or not, okay? The average human lives 77 years. Now, people, a lot of times when you hear that, people think, oh, yeah, man, and that is way better than it was, but not really. And I say that because we haven't really lengthened human lifespan that much. What happened with this statistic? Because if you said, "Oh, 1,000 years ago, the average life expectancy was 44," okay, well, we didn't really lengthen life. What we did was decrease infant mortality, and a baby born, if you take every human being born to the time of their death at 80, and you take that average, since the infant mortality was like 25% before age 4, that really brought down the average of the life expectancy. But since we increased or decreased infant mortality so much, the life expectancy went through the roof based on the numbers, but it really hasn't increased that much. I think closer estimates are like it's gone from like 66. It might even be the same. I am not sure on that, but I do know that infant mortality was included in that. And so, anyways, total side note on that. The average human life is 77 years. Men 75 and women 80. I have no idea why women live longer. They lucky. From a percentage of life perspective. So here's the time dilation that you want to start incorporating into your mind if you want to get a healthier, more accurate perspective on time investment. From a percentage of life perspective, a week for an Amazon delivery is 0.0002% of your life. It's not even measurable, really. 6-week training setback, 0.0014%. 12 months of job training for proficiency, 0.003%. Hopefully you're getting the point here. 4-year bachelor's degree is 0.05%. So if you don't understand the points and the zeros, I'll cover that super quick. 0.05. So 0.5% is half. You have a 1, and then if you have a point after that, then that's a percentage of the 1. So we're below. 1 would be the 100%, 0.5 would be 50%. We're at 0.05 for 4 years of your life. That is, if you had $100 and I took 5 of them, or you gave me 5, how upset would you be? You wouldn't be that upset. But yet, if you were thinking about, I don't really like my job, I wish I was doing something different, but man, 4 years, make the investment. Make the investment. What are you doing? Like, change your perspective on time. And now all of a sudden, these things that seem daunting and long aren't, and you can really start to change and create your life. Don't get so hung up in the day or a week or whatever. Think about it from a lifelong perspective. And now you can really start to inject some change into your life because everything doesn't seem so daunting. And this is going to be valuable because I'm going to talk about training in a second here and how long it takes. So hopefully that helps. Like, I think of this as like a coaching thing because coaching is mindset. Yes, there's coaching. I'm going to come in and you're going to move and I'm going to fix your movement when you're in class. Hey, you know what? That's 5% of coaching. You know, 30% of coaching is making sure the class runs well. Another aspect of coaching is when I'm communicating with somebody why they need to move better, right? Because if you don't know why, then you're not going to do it. Like, this comes back to the whole point of this podcast. How you think, how you see the world is affecting your behavior. If you're coming into class and you're getting upset when a coach is correcting you, you're missing it. Like, your goal in class should be, I want to get better. I want to move better. I want to be healthier. I want my body to function better. But what happens is people feel like they're doing it wrong. And since feeling like you're doing it wrong is a negative emotion, you don't receive the coaching. If you can change your mindset around and think, man, I want to get better. I want my movement to be as good as it can be. There's no way that it is right now. There's just no way because nobody moves perfectly. Oh, here comes the coach. What do you got? Oh, man, my knee's coming in. Oh, thanks for telling me. Oh, I'm sticking my chest up when I when I do a shoulder press. I didn't even know that. Thanks for telling me. Right? Your mindset should be, I want to be better. The best mindset in any training environment is prioritize my movement. My movement, I want my movement to be the most important thing to me, not the score on the board, not the guy beating the guy next to me, none of that stuff. Is my movement as good as it can be? Because if my movement is efficient as it can be, it's going to allow me to train longer. I know that's pretty specific to somebody that's in a group training environment. So hopefully that was helpful. Let us continue on and wrap up this section on time dilation and changing our mindset about how long things take. And so, with that in mind, with that new kind of thinking plugged in there, it's kind of like the Matrix. You can just like download stuff. If somebody was like, "Oh, I gotta start working out," I've been listening for a few podcasts now. This is really making sense to me. I got to start going. 2 to 3 years. Yeah, I mean, what's 2 to 3 years? 2 to 3 years of like just exercising. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's really a short amount of time and you're learning something new and you're making new friends and you're experiencing something different and all of it is fantastic. And along the way, you're getting fitter and feeling better. And so, but after about 2 to 3 years, you're going to have a pretty solid base of fitness and you would reduce your what's called all cause mortality, your risk of dying from anything, up substantially. I mean, you've literally in 2 to 3 years can change the trajectory of the rest of your life. And 2 to 3 years is like 2.5% of your life. It's nothing. It's nothing. Okay. So, well, how much? How much does it take? If it's 2 to 3 years of focused effort, how often, how much do I need to do? Honestly, I've been watching people exercise for a long time now. We're talking 20 years. And all seriousness, 2 to 3 training sessions a week will build you a solid base. I've seen people show up sporadically 2 to 3 days a week and make consistent gains in their fitness, their strength, their conditioning for 3 to 5 years on 2 to 3 days a week. Honestly, I remember a guy in particular that stands out in my head. He would be in there 2 days mostly. Sometimes he made three. Sometimes he missed a week. And I was just always surprised because that was going on for like an 18-month period. And he consistently was getting stronger. And it was the first time I had really seen that. And it really just blew my mind and it stands with me. I can see the guy's face right now. I'm not going to use his name. but it doesn't take that much. It really does not. 2 to 3 days a week, mildly consistent is what that is. And you're going to see continual improvement in your health and fitness. All right. That'll top out. I think that's going to top out that kind of like 2 to 3 day a week effort. It's going to top out about 3 to 5 years probably. And then at that point, you can just kind of maintain. You'll make very, very slow gains after that, but you can just kind of maintain. Or you could go to 3 to 4 days a week. You could add in another day or two and start to increase that fitness again. So, not that big of a deal. Really not. If you want more fitness, add a day or two, depends on goals. Now, let me just point out now, for health purposes, you want to move every day, right? This will be covered in a podcast eventually. I think I might have already done it or mentioned it, but like, if you had to, if I said, hey, listen, we're going to go outside, we're going to go drink some water. You're either going to drink it from the stream over there, or you're going to drink it from the pond over there. Everybody's going to pick the stream because intuitively we know when the stream is cleaner. The pond, when stuff is sitting, things can grow and fester, right? So when our bodies are just sitting there, that's kind of what's happening. You're not creating a high level of circulation or an adequate level of circulation. And so you need to get up and move. It doesn't need to be sprints. It doesn't need to be high intensity interval training. It just needs to be movement. Go for a walk for 30 or 40 minutes. Get up and do some squats, move around, stretch out for 15, 20 minutes. Just move your body. Make sure you move your body every day just to circulate the fluids, circulate your tissues, get things moving, because it's always this process of garbage out, groceries in, right? There's always this energy byproduct. There's always this byproduct of stuff that's being created just from being alive. And you want to help circulate that out and help circulate in the groceries, the good stuff. You just want to help make that happen. Be a stream, don't be a pond. All right. Is there a button for that? Chimes? No, it's applause. Be a stream, don't be a pond. Let's go. All right. Main point, consistency is key. Build healthy life patterns. Okay. It's about the consistency. 2 to 3 days a week. Stay consistent with it. Don't make a big deal out of it. I had some different stuff on mindset. It looks like I took it out. Oh, here it is. It needs to be consistent. Don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. You don't have to go in and hit a home run every time. You just got to stay semi-consistent and show up, do work, and go home, right? Most people, I think, well, I just need most people, you're going to go somewhere. The majority of people are going to go somewhere, right? So even if it's your basement, you're going to go somewhere, right? So you're going to show up, you're going to do some work, and then you're going to be done. And just get it knocked out. Take that hour, invest it. We talk about the amount of percentage of hours in a day. It's not that much. That's less than 1%, right? 1% would be, yeah, definitely less than 1% of your day. Okay. Mindset, show up, do work, and go home. Focus on consistency, not the details. Focus on the process, not the particulars. Keep a big picture frame of mind when you're thinking about your fitness. Don't get so focused on the scale. Don't get so focused on the things that are going to take some time to change. Just get focused on, I go to the gym. I go to the gym 2 to 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever it is. Okay, let's wrap it up before my camera overheats again. I got to figure that out. Moving is signal and critical to life. It's critical to life. If you're not moving, you spend 2 weeks in a bed, that's bad. Real bad. Things happen, things change fast. Adaptation is rapid and now. Your body is always reading the environment and making adjustments in the present. It is constantly evaluating and interpreting signal and making adjustments. But consistency is key to continual progress, right? It's like you don't have to hit a home run. You don't have to be 5, 6, 7 days a week to improve your health and fitness. 2 to 3 will do it, and get some walking and some other movement on the other days. Move every day and train 2, 3, 5 days a week, depending on your goals. Okay, your goals. Build this healthy life pattern. Build this specific healthy life pattern. Move, train, eat, relax. Move, train, eat, relax. If you follow that pattern every day, you're going to get up, you're going to move, you got to do what you got to do that day. You're going to go get some training in. You're going to eat clean. You're going to you eat relatively healthy. That doesn't need to be a home run either. And then you're going to relax at the end of the day. And you're going to create that pattern. You're going to create that process. And that is going to build fitness into your body. You're going to experience a long, healthy, productive life, most likely. It's always risk. It's always the crazy that you can't account for, but you can control what you can control. Create these signals every day if you can. Strength, conditioning, and mobility. We talked about it a little bit last time. If you want to live a long, healthy life, you're going to want a strength signal so your bone density and your tissue density stays high. You're going to want a conditioning signal so that your capacity to produce energy is maintained over your life. And you're going to want a mobility signal because if you don't move through full ranges of motion and get the tissues hydrated through as much as you can, then they're going to get stiff and they're going to get less mobile as time goes by. Those are the three things you want to focus on to create your best chance at fitness, health, and longevity. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Next episode, we are going to go into the more specifics of how training works, right? We talked about the 2 to 3, 4 days a week, whatever. We're going to get more specific on what's going on and how your body is receiving that signal and adapting to it. The name of that is to be determined, okay? We're going to let the AI do the work on that. I'm curious to see what AI calls this one. This is kind of the fun for me. And I mean, they really are better titles. And I know they're going to get more attention than what is exercise? Well, whatever. It is what it is. Help us grow. Like and subscribe. Look, the best place for us to grow right now is YouTube, right? So even if you're not watching YouTube, you just go over there and you just hit the little subscribe button for the Nobody Podcast. That's going to be very helpful to help that channel grow, because YouTube is going to be the quickest one that we can monetize. And when we get some revenue coming in, I'll be able to get a better camera. We'll be able to do some really cool stuff with the editing, build some graphs, stuff going on and all that. But we got to get some revenue going before we can really do that stuff. So, and lastly, submit your questions to dennis@dennisfenders.com. Questions and suggestions, always welcome. Hope you guys are getting it done and loving your life. And yeah, that's it. That's a wrap. We'll see you guys next week. Have an awesome 7 days ahead of you. All right. Bye.